This is a video called Jellico Road. It's about 41 minutes long, and as I do most of my videos, I really don't put a lot of preparation into what I'm going to say because I like to just keep them fresh. We just passed an electrical crew there. They've been installing metal transmission lines. And back to what I was saying, I like to do these videos just like, we were just riding along in a car. So, for those that like more information, if you see or hear something that I say, I guess you'll just have to Google it. Because this is a fairly famous highway. It was called the Dixie Highway. We call it the Road to Jellico. And of course, people live in Jellico call it the Road to LaFollette. The designation of the road is 25W. It had a nickname as the Dixie Highway. Before the interstate system was developed, this was the major route from north to south or south to north before Interstate 75 was constructed. As you'll see today, there's not a lot of traffic. We're coming up on a road to the left. That road goes to a place called Ividale, and you can go on up on the mountain from there. On the right-hand side on this curve, back in the 50s, there used to be a roadhouse there. I think it was a dance hall and a motel, and was considered a fairly rough place. In fact, this road contained a lot of roadhouses. Of course, now they don't have anything up here other than just residential areas. But back before Interstate 75, this highway was always loaded with traffic. We'll be coming up on a place called Peabody Mountain. It's named after the Peabody Coal Company. I did a video from the Peabody Cemetery. It's on this account, Nothing But History, if you want to search for that one. And I'll tell you when we get to that point basically where that is at. As we continue, now I'll stop, unless there's something that I want to point out, I'll just let the video run. When we get up here, I'll show you where you can turn to go to McLeod's Mountain. I have some videos of McLeod's Mountain. The area has been developed, and if you're ever in this area and you want a spectacular view of Powell Valley and a nice restaurant, they also have some bed and breakfast up there, or a motel. It's been a while since I've been up there, and they've been continuously building. I'm going to have to take another trip up there and do a video before too long. But anyway, it's a fantastic place to visit, and you will see a view that's just absolutely spectacular. And I'll point out where you turn. This road is winding, as you can see. To the left is the CSX Railroad. Eventually we'll go under the railroad and it'll be to our right. During the Second World War, there was a troop train that wrecked. After we go under the underpass, it occurred to the right-hand side. The train jumped a track on a curve and went into the creek. My grandmother lived in Jellico, and I can remember the day that I was with my family, and the wreck had happened the day before or that night, but I can see those men down there working with acetylene torches, trying to cut people out who were trapped. That occurred 44 or 45. If you Google train wreck Jellico, Tennessee, you can read all about it. Someone has a website out there where they posted quite a few photographs. It's beautiful in the winter, spring, and fall. This is December 3rd, 2012. All the foliage has gone away for the winter. The advantage of doing the video today and this time of the year is your view is not blocked by the foliage. But in the summertime and the spring, this is a beautiful drive. When they had the rock slide on Interstate 75, most of the southbound traffic was routed down this road, 25W, to Caryville and Interstate 75. I did a couple of videos about that event. There was a gentleman placed a comment on one of my videos that I did that's on this channel that was involved in a turnover of a tractor and trailer. I don't think, well, he did say that the driver did not survive. He was in the sleeper. And if he happens to be looking at this video, I'll point out the location where the turnover occurred. We're not far from the turnoff to where you go up on McLeod Mountain. I was noticing today they had some signs. I don't know if they have any on this side. I noticed coming back after I did this video there was some signs talking about McLeod's Mountain. I can't see, I think that's one of them coming up there. Yes, that's one. I can't say too much about that area up there because it is just spectacular. Okay, we're coming up on the crossroads or a Y in the road. If you take a hard right, that goes up on the mountain, and if you just go down the Y to the right-hand side, that goes to Duff, which goes up into White Oak and near the area where I was born. And now we're going to go under an underpass that goes under the CSX Railroad. This used to be the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, and there has been several accidents in that spot. Now off to the left, there's a little place over there. I've never eaten there, but I've heard that they have fantastic food. Also on the left-hand side is a mine that my father worked in called Rex. And up there on the Peabody Cemetery, if you go back and pull up that video I did, they had a dedication of some miners that lost their life in, I think they called it New Rex. But that's off to the left-hand side, and there's a railroad to the left, but it's only a spur that comes in. There's a tipple over there where they bring coal in and load it on the coal cars. So we continue. We're starting to go up Peabody Mountain. And at the top of Peabody, but before we get there, let me point out, there's a road that goes to the right that goes to the Peabody Cemetery. When I went up to do the video, I came out that road, but you can't see getting out on this road. There's another road no more than 50 yards on up the mountain that most people use There's the road that you can come out from Peabody Cemetery. But the road that most people use is that road right there on the right. And it's only about a mile up there. As we continue up Peabody Mountain, at the top you'll see some signs. And if you're ever in, well, I'm getting mail, so we'll just let that go. If you're ever in this area, the Tennessee Wildlife Agency introduced elk back into this area, and you'll see the signs. I also have a video of that on one of my accounts. You turn left right here at the top of the mountain. You can see the signs there on the left, and you drive about 5 miles up into the mountains, and then you park your vehicle and you walk about a mile, and they have a viewing stand and you can watch the elk. And it's beautiful up there. If you happen to be coming into this area, or you live in the area and you've never been up there, it's well worth a trip. I would not go by myself. I would take somebody with me. Now we're coming down Peabody Mountain, and as I said before, there's not a lot of traffic on this road. Actually, there's more traffic than I thought. I didn't notice that much traffic going down, but as I do the audio portion of this video, I'm doing the audio as I watch the video to mesh them together. Looks like there's more traffic than I really thought there was. At this point, there's some cars starting to get behind me, and I wasn't going really fast because I had my JVC GZ HM200 mounted on a new stand that I purchased that has suction cups that fits to the hood of the car, and I had the viewing screen open, and I was afraid that if I exceeded a certain speed, the wind would turn my camera off when it closed the viewing screen. Excuse me. This is a pretty good sized curve here, and I'm trying to remember, but I think yes, they are behind me. It's not far before I pull off and allow the other cars to go around. It's a beautiful day today. You can see the clouds off. You're looking north. We're not far from Kentucky, and this video will end up in Kentucky. We'll go through a city called Jellico, Tennessee. Jellico is the city where my mother and dad grew up. My dad was born in 1893 in Jellico. He passed away. I've outlived my dad. He was 69 when he passed away, and he passed away in 63, and I'm 74. And we continue on down through here. There used to be what they call little blue gem mines. A person would just go out in the back of their yard, and there'd be a coal seam there, and they would dig back into the bank, and some of them would go back in there a couple hundred yards and bring coal out and either sell it locally, or I don't know if they really pulled enough out to sell commercially or not. So you'll just have to check that one for yourself. Like I say, I didn't do any research before I did this. It's just me rambling along, you know, till you can see the scenery. In fact, you can turn the volume down if you like. I'm putting something on there until it just won't be nothing. Now I'm getting ready to pull off up here and let the traffic get around me. I pull off in this spot right here and let the traffic go around me. We're in a community called Wynn. Down here a mile or so you can turn right and it will take you up into White Oak and a community called Westburn. Most of those communities were mining communities. Westburn was a thriving community back during the 40s, but now I think that it's primarily a ghost town. The city or community that I grew up in, or that I was born in, called Anthrace, it was named after anthracite coal. The only thing in that community now is the Anthrace Baptist Church. There's no houses up in there. Here's the right-hand road that you cut to go over into Wynn. As we continue on up the road, not more than another mile, we're going to cross Stinking Creek, and the Stinking Creek Road cuts left on the other side of the bridge. We're not far from there. This video is like 41 minutes long, which means I guess I'm going to have to sit here and try to come up with something to say for 41 minutes. Here's the Stinking Creek Bridge, and you turn left. That's a Stinking Creek Road. I used to ride my racing bike up through here. I had a Swin Tiempo 12 speed, and along about is this the spot? I would sprint because there was a dog that just loved to run me, and I was afraid he was going to catch me. It's not here. I'd usually rest on this hill coming down. Some of my friends that I worked with in Oak Ridge, this was their favorite place to come and ride bicycles. And we were pretty hardcore bicyclists. I could ride 100 miles in less than 6 hours any day. And I was doing that in my 50s. Here's where I'd start to sprint. And by the time I'd get to this curve up here, sometimes I'd look down at my odometer. If I had a tailwind coming up through this valley, I could do over 30 miles an hour. So I knew the dog was never going to catch me, and he didn't know I was coming, so I didn't have to worry about him running out in front of me. But along right here, I mean, I would be real. Got another male. Right there on the left is where the dog was at. I hope it was a German Shepherd, a beautiful dog. If you happen to be watching this video and that was your house, I hope your dog lived a good life, because I love German Shepherds. I had a German Shepherd. But I didn't want to find out if he bit or not, or would bite me, so he never could catch me, but I knew he couldn't. We're going down through here. Now we're getting close to, see, I'm trying to think what the name of this place is. Can't remember. All these little communities up through here have a name. What is the name of that place over there? Can't remember. And as I said, I did not do any research before I did this video. I just happened to be out. It was a pretty day. And I had purchased a new unit to where I could, it's got 2 suction cups on it. And I place it on the hood of my car and put my camera into a mount. They don't guarantee that the suction cups will hold, but it looks like they're going to work. I haven't had one to come loose, But as a safety measure, I've got a nylon rope that I tie around the thing in case it comes out. My camera won't wind up in the middle of the road with a big coal truck like that running over it. You don't see coal trucks that much anymore up through here. The stripping, coal stripping is not as big as it was at one time. At one time, there was a lot of traffic in this area of coal trucks. There's a creek on the right-hand side of this road. Sure glad you're not asking me what the name of the creek is. I'd say Stinking Creek because we went over it, but they only call that Stinking Creek, I believe, when you go up into Stinking Creek. There's another name for that creek. But that's where the troop train went into that creek down here on a curve back in 44, 45. And I was on the way to my grandmother's house. She lived in Jellico. And we went by there, and I can still see acetylene torches down there. People were trapped and they were trying to get them out of the cars. I don't know how many. Okay, this right here is where the transfer truck turned over. The gentleman that put a comment on my video, that's where that accident occurred. And on the video that I did during that time was, if you see the video, I was standing in that road, that dirt road that goes back up. And surprisingly, there was an airplane crashed up there a few years back. Not far from that location. But you can see how curvy that road is. A few miles up here is Highway 90, which goes up through Tackett Creek, White Oak, Tackett Creek, and Anthrace. Anthrace was where I was born in 1938. After we pass Highway 90, that community is called Morley. Then you go through an area called the Narrows that goes into Jellico. And the Narrows is where the troop train wrecked. There's a huge rock that had a plaque placed on it. Last year, I guess it was, I came up through here with my son, and the plaque was made out of copper, I believe. Well, you know what happened to that plaque. Someone made off with it. I don't know if they've placed another plaque on the rock. It's a huge rock where that it protrudes right in the center of the creek where that troop train wrecked. At the bottom of this hill we're getting ready to go down. Let me see. No, I think we got to go around another curve. There's a rock they call the Dripping Rock. And when it rains, there's a wet weather spring that feeds water, and it comes directly down into the center of the road. In the wintertime, you'll see big icicles hanging off these rocks, because there's a lot of springs off to the left hand. Well, there's springs all in this area. And then there are what they call, I have a hard time saying two W's together, a wet weather spring. If I say railroad, which is not two W's together, but if I say railroad, I have a difficult time not saying railroad, like Elmer Fudd. So, anyway, It's 24 miles of road that I'm taking you through, and I've already gone past that dripping rock. We're coming up on Morley and Highway 90 that goes to the right up into White Oak, Tackett Creek, Anthrace, Pruden, and then it goes across the mountain into Middlesboro, Kentucky. And back during the 40s, all of this area up here in coal mines, deep mines, was really there was a lot of people lived up in here. There's a lot of company houses, like at this is Morley, and there was the right-hand turn. Like Anthrace, where I grew up, the houses were owned by the coal company, and we traded with what they called script, and that's why Tennessee Ernie Ford, when he did his song, he said, "I owe my soul to the company store," and people did, because you had to purchase things, and they had you as a captive because they would give you advances on your wages with script, not money, and you could only spend the script in the company store, so they owed their soul to the company store, as Tennessee Ernie said in his famous song, 16 Tons. Now this portion right here to the left is the old part of this road, and I don't know if you can see it as we go by. If you look at the left, you can see the outcropping. I'll look at it again when I put it on a large screen, but there's an outcropping of the old road, and you can see the different layers of the pavement that they used. This portion right here, I don't know how old it is, but it was old enough that there was more than one layer, because the original road was concrete through here, and it wasn't a good concrete road. When you went over it, it was just bump, 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 bump. You'd think you had a flat tire. We continue on down into the Narrows. There's a creek to the right, and you can see the CSX railroad over there, and I believe there was a truck over there on the railroad doing some work. They were probably inspecting the rail. This place through here is loaded with rattlesnakes and copperheads. If you were back in these mountains during the summer, you would really need to be cautious for snakes, because this is a snaky area. There's other places in this is in Campbell County. As we continue on up to through the Narrows, and I was going to tell you where the troop train wrecked. I hope I didn't pass it. I don't think so. I'm watching this on a little small postage stamp screen. No, we haven't passed it. We're coming up on it. I'm just going to be quiet until I see it. You can imagine a young boy back in the war seeing a train with military guys laying in the creek. The train, passenger train, laying in the creek. I can tell where this is at because I can remember I pulled over. There's no place to pull over Um, there's only one little spot, and there's really not enough room to get out of the road. So it's a historical site, but there's no way that you can pull off of this road to view it. You would have to go and park and walk back in, which I wouldn't recommend on this road. The train, they don't think it was sabotage because the train jumped the tracks on a steep curve. This is the curve right down there to the right. I think right around this curve I pull over a little bit where it's at. I hope you can see that big rock down there that had the plaque on it. Right here. Nope, that's not the place. Sorry, but this road looks the same in several different spots, especially if you're looking at it after you've been through there. Maybe this is a spot. Yes, this is the spot, but you can't see the big rock. Sorry. Unless this is in high definition, maybe when I look at it on a large screen, the rock is visible as we come around that curve, because you can see the creek down there. Off to the right, there used to be a place they call Sandy Beach, and people would come there and swim in the creek. It was right along in here. It was a restaurant. Used to be a lot of what they call beer joints up through this road, but now there's none. You can see the creek down there. This is a slide area. They've had a hard time keeping that road from sliding into the creek. I'm sure by now you've probably wondering about this road. There's a rock quarry off to the left. We're getting ready to come into Jellico. There's a road that goes to the right, and I'm going to go over to that graveyard. There's two statues over there. They're almost lifelike statues that these people had. They commissioned someone in somewhere. I know you people that like details are probably fussing at me that I can't tell you exactly what I'm trying to say. But I'm thinking they commissioned someone in Italy to carve a statue. And it's a man and a woman. And you can see it from the road in the wintertime when the foliage is gone. And it's, let's see. Bear with me. Yeah, there's the road. Coming up. You turn right and goes over the creek, a bridge. And then over there to the right-hand side, back over in a field, is that graveyard with those two statues. Now the road is starting to level out in this valley, coming into Jellico. And I keep my camera running going through Jellico, so if you're wondering what Jellico looks like, you're going to see it. Not much to say about through here. Shortly we'll be coming up on Interstate 75 exit at Jellico. the Kentucky state line is near here. In fact, Jellico, parts of Jellico is on the line. Part of it is in Kentucky. And if you go on to the Library of Congress and Google, or not Google in Library of Congress, in their search engine and search for Jellico, Kentucky, you will read about how Wild West that thing was, or I guess Wild South. That was practically all of Jellico, Kentucky was bars and dance halls, and then over on the Tennessee side it was dry, so everybody'd go over in Kentucky, and there's all kinds of wild stories on the Library of Congress about Jellico, Kentucky, especially if you go into the old newspapers that they have. And the Library of Congress has quite a few old newspapers now that you can query. We're coming under Interstate 75. You can see the signs, Knoxville, I think it says, to the left. And like all other interstate exits, and there's season's greeting signs placed by the people in Jellico. But like every other interstate exit, there's all kinds of businesses that spring up. And the same for Jellico. Once we get past this traffic light, we'll be in the part of Jellico that looks about the same as it looked when I lived here for a little while. I'm really satisfied with this GZ-HM200 camera. JVC doesn't make this camera anymore, but I think the video quality is just spectacular for just a consumer product camera. Of course, the camera has a flaw in it, like I said in one of my videos, is a design flaw. After you use the viewer for a while, it goes haywire on you. But this is the second one that I've owned. I went on Craigslist to find it, and I liked it that much. That building there on the left hand side used to be the old hospital, and I had my tonsils taken out there when I was 9 years old. We're coming into the city of Jellico. That's the United Methodist Church. That's an old church. And we're going to turn right. I have a video on, it's on my Octavi account, where they had a festival here in Jellico. I did that, and I did that video right there on the left-hand side. When we turn right, it'll be to the left. There's a coal truck blocking the view, or coal truck. On the other side of that coal truck is where I did that video. Jellico, unless you get off the interstate and come into Jellico, like over in LaFollette, you go through LaFollette getting to the interstate. The people coming out of Whitley County, Kentucky would be coming through Jellico to get on the Interstate 75. On the left-hand side, used to be a theater there. I can remember going to that theater with my mother and dad back during the Second World War. These communities, these little towns were thriving during the war because that's the only thing that there was. That was before all this other stuff came. That's the post office to the right where you can see the flag. The man who was the postmaster, who has since retired, serves with me on the equalization board for Campbell County. we've served together. I think this coming year will be our 3rd year. We just went, let's see, right here we go into Kentucky, in the Kentucky side of Jellico. And you can see some of the old buildings. And practically all of these buildings were, you know, dance halls and whatever. So that's my tour of the Jellico Highway. The guy that used to own this grocery store lived at Anthers. Excuse me. When I lived up there. He sold his store. I think he's retired now. Well, thank you very much for watching my video. We'll see you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.